I almost died because I didn't believe a text message. At 2 o'clock a.m. I stood barefoot on frozen pavement, wrapped in thin pajamas, watching police lights slice through the darkness. As bomb squad trucks surrounded my apartment building, my phone shook in my hand, the screen still glowing with a message I had almost deleted. Red and blue lights reflected off terrified faces. As my neighbors and I huddled behind police tape, silent, staring at the place we had nearly died in. No one spoke. We didn't know how. 2 hours earlier, I'd been warm in bed, exhausted, convinced everything was normal. That belief almost killed me, because directly beneath my bedroom, in the apartment below, 200 pounds of explosives had been sitting quietly. 200 pounds, enough to erase our entire building in seconds. The man who lived there was someone I barely noticed. Someone I waved at in passing. Someone I assumed was harmless. Standing there in the cold, my teeth chattering, I realized how thin the line was between life and death. One ignored message, one bad assumption, one decision to stay inside instead of run. I need to take you back to before that night, before flashing lights and police commands, so you can understand how I ended up ignoring the one warning that could have saved my life. My name is Priya. I was 26 years old, independent, confident and certain I had control over my life. I believed danger announced itself loudly. I believed bad things happened to other people, and I was wrong. I lived in a converted Victorian house in Trenton, New Jersey, split into 4 apartments. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I worked as a freelance graphic designer, built my own schedule, drank coffee on a narrow balcony, and felt proud of the independence I'd fought for. My life was routine, predictable, safe, or so I thought. My landlord, Mr. Tedesco, was old school, polite, and reliable. The other tenants were quiet, familiar faces, an elderly couple downstairs who smiled kindly, a nursing student in the attic apartment who always looked exhausted, and then there was a man in Unit 1 directly below me, Warren Briggs, early 40s, thin, pale eyes, always sunken with exhaustion. In 2 years, we never had a real conversation. There were signs, chemical smells drifting through vents, loud thumps late at night, heavy bags unloaded from his trunk that looked like fertilizer, trash bins overflowing with packaging materials. Each time I explained it away. Cleaning supplies, furniture, online shopping. None of it felt like my business. Others noticed too. Neighbors whispered that he was strange, rude, withdrawn. But the word we all used was harmless. Quiet, but harmless. Strange, but harmless. We told ourselves that, because it was easier than questioning the truth. None of us wanted to be wrong. None of us wanted to get involved. We didn't know that beneath our feet, Warren was building something deadly. That every ignored smell, every unexplained noise was part of something growing, something waiting. It was a Thursday night in early November. I had just finished another exhausting workday and changed into pajamas when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. The message said, "This is Tedesco. Leave the building now. Don't pack. Just run." I laughed it off at first. My landlord never texted, ever. I assumed it was a prank or a scam. I checked the hallway. Silent. Looked outside. Empty street. No CDs? No. Everything looked normal. I convinced myself I was being paranoid. Then another text came. He used my name. He warned me about Unit 1. My stomach dropped. I hesitated. What if it was fake? What if someone wanted me to leave so they could break in? I waited for answers that never came. Tired, stressed, doubting myself, I made the worst decision possible. I locked my door and went to brush my teeth. That's when the building began to shake. Not a truck, not a vibration, something heavier, louder. My walls rattled, bottles fell, and then I heard shouting outside. While I looked out the window, police cars flooded the street. A megaphone ordered us out immediately. My body moved before my mind caught up. I ran barefoot into the night, heart pounding, breath frozen in my lungs. We stood behind police tape as officers swarmed our building. My neighbors clung to each other, shaking, silent. I finally reached Mr. Tedesco. His voice broke when he spoke. The FBI had been watching Warren for months. Bomb materials, chemicals, wiring, a device nearly complete. He tried to warn everyone. I hadn't answered. Hours passed in the cold. Helicopters circled overhead. News vans arrived. Then an FBI agent approached us. Calm. Serious? She told us the truth. 200 pounds of explosives in Unit 1, directly below my bedroom. If it had detonated, everyone inside would have died instantly. That was when reality shattered. One neighbor collapsed, sobbing. Another whispered prayers in a language I didn't understand. I felt hollow, knowing how close I had come to dying in my sleep. All of us had been part of a statement Warren wanted to make against the world. We were evacuated for weeks. When I returned, my apartment looked untouched. But it no longer felt safe. Every sound became a threat. Every creak sent my heart racing. I couldn't stay. I moved closer to family, carrying fear with me. Mr. Tedesco sold the building. Months later, he told me he couldn't look at it anymore. Neither could I. Warren was charged federally. I stopped following the case. Some answers don't heal anything. What stayed with me was the lesson we're taught. Not to overreact, not to judge, not to interfere. But sometimes warning signs are real. Sometimes the quiet neighbor is dangerous. Sometimes the midnight message is the only chance you get. I was 15 minutes from becoming a statistic. I survived because someone refused to stop warning me. And because I finally ran. If someone you trust tells you to leave, don't debate it. Don't wait. Just run.